Hello, good day to you, with me, Andy, and Talkin, really, and of course a little story here, which again is another story where you can believe it or not, and it's more likely to be true than not, because the bizarre stories out there have been proven to be true. So this one again is another story that you can take it or leave it. This is obviously talking about when we're talking about fake meat, for example. We know that's true. There is fake meat and they are growing meat. However, this is more about human meat being treated as cannibalism. And apparently there's a story about Celine Dion, who has just been diagnosed with a rare disease. One that can be caused by cannibalism. So again, take it or leave it. True or not, doesn't make any difference. The actual bizarre stories generally are proven to be true. So Celine Dion has revealed that she's got an incurable health condition, and it is stiff person syndrome, which is a rare disease, an autoimmune disease. Basically, this has led to difficulties walking and singing. So an autoimmune disease, that's quite common these days. So obviously this story is in BBC. So the most important paragraph we have here is it's incurable, a very rare condition. It is about being stiff and sort of not being able to walk or move, and can trigger spasms and falls if they have a loud noise, for example. Obviously the page here, they're trying to refute the idea. This is a fact check type page where they say that the actual link is not true, and because the social media posts have said that Celine Dion has stiff person syndrome, but also that it was part of the adverse reactions, and of course this article is going to refute that fact. But we do know several things about this which you can't talk about on YouTube, but you can make up your own minds. On the subject of side effects of eating human flesh, a risk of prion disease, which I have no idea what that is, but we'll find out. And of course, just to be fully open here, we're going to have a look at what prion disease actually is, and it's a neurodegenerative disorder. So it can affect humans and animals as well. So animals eating other animals can probably suffer the same thing. So it's quite interesting. Types of prion, including, I see, there's CJD, which is called mad cow disease. So this is something that you will be familiar with. Lots of different information there. What are the symptoms? Lots of stuff there to do with the body, personality changes, involuntary muscle spasms, loss of coordination, and basically all the things that you would see for a neurological condition. There's no cure. MRI is the usual thing to see if you've got it. Obviously taking away the mad cow item. And there you go. So prion disease, CJD, whatever you want to call it, it is what it is. Have a look at this video and see what you think.
Well, I am never going to be the same again after finding out what I just found out. And after watching this video, you're never going to be the same either. Sorry about that. Have you all ever heard about this? The Human Meat Project? People for People? I thought this was a joke until I started digging some more and realized this is real, and it gets worse. One body can feed up to 40 people. Together, we can end world starvation, overpopulation, and climate change. Why donate? Over time, the human population has increased rapidly across the globe, leading to a higher demand for food, especially meat products. With this increasing demand, land for residential areas has become more difficult to find, and emissions from farms have risen every year, making the lives we lead less sustainable. We believe that by donating bodies and/or organs, we can make a change by creating alternative meat consumption options while addressing the value of a person's body. Y'all, they have this end date where you can decide when you want to go in before you get harvested. What? I'm going to pause on this. Y'all read this. And here's some meat products that you can choose from. I can't. I literally can't. This can't be real. This can't be real. This can't be real. God, I'm ready to come home. Whenever. Just any day now if you want. I'm ready. These people are crazy down here. I can't do this. This is this crazy. Is that normal? You guys think that's normal? Human meat? What? So now cannibalism is normal? What? First they changed pedophilia to be minor attracted persons, and now cannibalism? Eating human meat? I can't. I'm done. That's it. Can't. What are y'all's thoughts on this?
We've all had moments where we felt desperate to eat anything, but what if your only option was human flesh? Most of us have heard of cannibalism, but what happens when you eat humans? If we first look at insects, snails, fish, or amphibians, we can see that cannibalism is abundant. For example, crab spider mothers lay unfertilized nurse eggs for her spiderlings to feast on, and once the eggs are consumed, she offers herself to be eaten entirely in the process called matrophagy. But when it comes to mammals, cannibalism is more rare, often triggered by environmental stressors, like when rabbits eat their young under stressful situations. French paleontologists found human examples from 100,000-year-old Neanderthal bones, which showed signs of breaking as a way to extract marrow and eat brains, and tool cut marks suggesting that the tongue and thigh were eaten as well. But even in the 20th century, medicinal cannibalism was used in Europe, where human blood was prescribed as a remedy. Which brings us to the first issue. Without proper care and preparation, you run the risk of contracting any bloodborne disease like hepatitis or Ebola that your victim may be carrying, as well as the risk of infection from the deceased E. coli and other gut bacteria. Speaking of blood, we're definitely red meat. This is due to myoglobin, an iron and oxygen binding protein found in muscle tissue. Your nutritional value? Well, your thigh is around 10,000 calories, your heart 700, and your entire body around 81,000 calories. But about half of these calories come from adipose or fat tissue, so you aren't the best meat for those on a diet. And even though anecdotal accounts say we taste somewhere between pork and veal, and a cute culinary robot identified us as bacon, there's still an even greater risk in something called prions. Though not fully understood, prions are versions of a normal protein that has had its shape altered and not only loses its function but becomes infectious. These distorted proteins can influence other similar healthy proteins and change them as well, causing a chain reaction and creating disease. In particular, prion disease creates holes in the brain, giving it a spongiform appearance and ultimately causing death. But unlike viruses, bacteria, fungi, or parasitic infections which contain DNA or RNA, prions don't, meaning they can't be killed with radiation or heat. These incredibly infectious prions could be present in any nervous tissue, including organs and muscles, but are most common in the brain and spinal nerve tissues, meaning if you happen to consume meat with prions in it, your risk of infection is high. Eat the brain and that risk goes much higher. In the 1950s, researchers discovered that several members of the Foray people, a tribal group in Papua New Guinea, were suffering from a disease called kuru, or laughing disease, which caused those infected to lose control of their emotions, then bodily functions, eventually succumbing to death. It turns out that kuru was a prion disease which was contracted through their funeral practices. The Foray people believed it was better for the body to be eaten by the people who loved them than by worms and insects. And though the practice is believed to have stopped, the incubation of prion disease can take up to 50 years, meaning new cases could still reveal themselves. So while eating human flesh isn't necessarily always bad for you, especially if it lacks prions, doing so carries incredibly high risks that probably aren't worth it. Just stick with the steak.
So there you go. Yeah, just one more bizarre story, which the NWO agenda, obviously they don't want you to eat proper meat, they want to eat fake food, they want you to eat bugs. All of these things are bad for you, and of course that's what they want. That's it from me. Have a good day.